welcome to another episode of Humbly Adah, your personalized channel for everything from trending topics and social matters to spirituality and entertainment. I'm your host, Princess Adah, and I'm delighted to have you here with me today. In this episode, we're diving into some complex and often puzzling dynamics of race and identity. Specifically, we'll be exploring how and why the term Black is used so frequently in our society when describing melanated people. It's a topic that definitely deserves some deep thought, so I hope you're ready to join me on this journey. Let's get started. I had a random thought today that took me down a rabbit hole on racial identity. Why is it that the term Black is almost always placed first when describing us melanated people? We hear it all the time: Black American, Black Church, Black Hebrew Israelite. It's as if our so-called color has to be attached to everything, and you can't help but wonder, why? While melanin is undoubtedly beautiful, this emphasis on Black often feels diminishing. It's not because our skin tone isn't something to be proud of, but because the word Black tends to carry a lot of negative connotations. Let's consider some examples. Black sheep of the family, black mark, black propaganda, blackguard, black-hearted, black market. The term Black in these contexts usually infers wrongdoing or negativity. If you bear a black mark, it's something people hold against you. If you've been blackballed, it means you've been banned from joining an organization due to some perceived fault. The negativity associated with Black seems almost never-ending. By constantly prefixing Black to our identities and accomplishments, it feels like we're being boxed into these negative stereotypes, even when celebrating our beauty and achievements. Despite the incredible diversity and richness within the melanated community, there's this shadow of negativity tied to the word Black that can be hard to shake off. It's a perplexing dynamic that gives us a lot to think about. Stay with me as we continue to unravel these intricate layers of racial identity. Now, let's examine the term white and the contrasting positive meanings it carries. When we speak of the color white, a different set of associations come to mind. Words like pure, delicate, clean, bright, fresh, and simple. White is often linked with purity, perfection, honesty, and beginnings. It's a color that signifies certainty, illumination, and insight, and is frequently associated with knowledge and learning. It's evident that the color white inherits a level of positivity and virtue in our societal lexicon. Think about how we describe clean, fresh snow as a blanket of white, a symbol of purity and new starts. Or consider the phrase white lie, a term that softens the impact of a falsehood by suggesting it's harmless or told out of kindness. These positive connotations stand in stark contrast to the negativity often tied to Black. When referring to white people, they are typically just called Americans, unless a specific discussion on race or racism is happening. This generalized reference as just Americans subtly implies a default status or a norm, while Black people are frequently defined by their race first and nationality second. It's an interesting dichotomy that raises questions about societal structures and prejudices. The more pondering I did, the more I wanted to explore these deep-seated dynamics and how these contrasting connotations influence perceptions and treatment in everyday life. The words we use and the meanings we attach to them have significant impacts on how we see both ourselves and others. Please don't get me wrong, or think that I am complaining. I am proud and blessed to be an Afro-melanated woman, aka Black woman. I just wonder why our so-called skin color has to be prefixed to everything concerning us. This leads me to the next layer of this rabbit hole discussion: pride versus segregation. On one hand, there's a strong sense of pride that comes with being an Afro-melanated person. Our culture, our history, and the resilience of our people are definitely something to celebrate. However, the constant need to mention our skin color with every achievement or milestone makes you wonder, why is this necessary? Why can't we just be recognized for our accomplishments without the racial prefix? This question weighs heavy on the heart. Consider the term black. We, as melanated people, come in a multitude of beautiful shades, from the darkest ebony to the lightest tan. It almost feels limiting to be grouped under one generic label when our skin hues are so diverse. The term black doesn't fully capture the richness of our varied complexions. But beyond aesthetics, constantly being labeled as Black Americans might hinder us from being seen as simply Americans. Does it put an unnecessary barrier between us and others, emphasizing our differences rather than our shared identity as citizens of the same country? Then there's the notion of being black and proud. It's a powerful statement, and rightfully so. It embraces our heritage and the struggles our ancestors endured. But one has to wonder, does this pride sometimes segregate us from being American? Does it promote an us versus them mentality that might inadvertently divide rather than unite? Pondering over these questions brought me to a junction where identity, pride, and unity intersect. It's a delicate balance. On one side, there's immense joy in celebrating our Afro-melanated identity. On the other, there's a tension in wondering whether this celebration might be creating self-imposed divisions. These questions don't come with easy answers, but they are crucial for us to consider as we navigate our complex identities. Stick around, because this rabbit hole runs very deep. Now, let's take a step back and examine some historical reasons why the term black might still be emphasized in our society. It's not a coincidence that such emphasis exists. It has roots that run deep in the harsh soil of history. For centuries, people of African descent have been subjected to systemic racism and slavery, experiences that have left a lasting mark on the collective psyche of our communities. The transatlantic slave trade didn't just strip people of their homelands. It attempted to erase their identities, assigning them a black identity as a means of dehumanization and control. This was a deliberate strategy to instill a sense of inferiority, and unfortunately, it managed to perpetuate stereotypes that have lingered through time. The echoes of these past injustices are still heard today, affecting how society labels us, and, sometimes, how we label ourselves. But the issue goes even deeper than history. It intertwines with the emotional and psychological aspects of identity. This leads us to an iconic quote from the late brother Malcolm X that resonates profoundly with our topic today. Who taught you to hate yourself? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? To such extent you bleach, to get like the white man. Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to, so much so that you don't want to be around each other? Malcolm X's powerful speech highlights the extent to which self-hate was ingrained into the minds of so-called black people. For generations, we've been bombarded with negative imagery and narratives about our race, conditioning us to undervalue or even despise our natural attributes. This internalized racism didn't happen by accident. It was a tool used to divide and undermine the strength of our communities. So, when we ponder why Black is always highlighted, we have to consider these historical and psychological layers. It's not just about a word, it's about centuries of conditioning that have engraved these associations into the fabric of society. Understanding these roots gives us perspective, but it also empowers us to challenge and change the narrative. Now, let's bring this discussion back to the present. I want to talk about the upcoming election and how a particular presidential candidate's blackness is in question. It's a reminder of how race continues to be a significant point of discussion, even when it comes to the highest offices in the land. This presidential candidate's blackness, or lack thereof, is being scrutinized more than her qualifications or policies. Questions about whether she would be the first woman president or the first Black woman president are the hottest topic. It's puzzling, particularly when her racial identity is complex. Her mother is East Indian and her father is a Jamaican whose race is also in question. With all the issues going on in America, still, her blackness seems to be a focal point. The irony of Black being both powerful and negative is deeply embedded in this debate. On one hand, the term Black signifies strength, resilience, and a proud heritage. On the other hand, it is often weighed down by negative connotations that society has built up over centuries. This duality places an extra burden on Black people who are continually navigating both pride and prejudice. It's a peculiar dynamic where your race is both a badge of honor and a target of scrutiny dependent on societal context and perspectives. Moreover, being Black seems to come before any other identity trait you might possess. Whether you're a sinner or a saint, a man or a woman, you're Black first. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Hebrew, Muslim, or atheist, you're Black first. Gay or straight, you're Black first. This overarching label precedes all other aspects of one's identity, emphasizing Blackness before nationality, religion, or even personal achievements. Is this a good thing? Does it bring unity within the melanated community, or does it further segregate us from the broader society? These questions don't come with straightforward answers, but they demand reflection. As we continue to dissect these intricate layers of racial identity, consider how the questions of modern-day politics and societal perceptions influence our sense of self and community. The recognition of Black achievements remains essential, but the way we frame these accomplishments in racial terms could either empower us or continue to box us into limiting narratives. Dear listeners, we've journeyed through some profound and complex layers today about race and identity, and I find myself without a definitive conclusion for this episode. Why is Black always placed at the forefront? How do we reconcile the pride in our melanated heritage with the segregation it might inadvertently cause? These are questions I can't answer alone, and I encourage you to ponder them deeply. Your thoughts and reflections are invaluable, so please do share your ideas and explanations with me. I'd love to hear what you think. One thing is for sure, I love my melanated skin and the rich cultural heritage we've stitched together through resilience and creativity. Despite the complexities, remember that we are dignified and beautiful in our varied hues. I also want to emphasize that before anything else, I identify as a daughter of the Most High. This spiritual identity places me beyond the confines of racial or national labels, and it's something I hold dear. My final thought for this episode is to embrace the positive aspects of our culture while considering how we can unify beyond these socially imposed distinctions. Unity doesn't mean erasing our unique experiences. It means celebrating them while fostering a shared identity that transcends race. Thank you for staying with me through this episode. Please do leave your feedback and comments, as I greatly enjoy reading them and engaging with you. Until next time, may it be well with you. This is Princess Adah saying, peace and blessings. Thank you, wonderful listeners, for joining me on this episode of Humbly Adah. I truly appreciate you taking the time to explore these profound and complex topics about race, identity, and what it means to be Black in our society. It's a conversation that is deeply personal yet universally significant, and I'm honored to navigate it with you. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this podcast with your friends and family. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue these important discussions. For more content and updates, you can follow me on Facebook at Princess Adah and on my Facebook media page at Humbly Adah Media Productions. I'm also active on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe to my channels, Humbly Princess Adah 1611 and Humbly Adah. And of course, you can find me on TikTok at Princess Adah 16 for more engaging content. As always, I look forward to reading your feedback and comments. They truly enrich our conversations and help shape future episodes. So please don't hesitate to message me with your thoughts and reflections. Until next time, may it be well with you. This is Princess Adah signing off with peace and blessings.